I think a lot of you know what setup practices are. Yeah. I'm going to refresh everybody on what setup practices are. Setup practices, and there's, whenever I think of setup practices, there's three of them that kind of come to mind. And they're a practice that can be designed to set us up for maybe our longer practice, or what we could consider our deeper practice. And so that's why they're called setup practices. A setup one that's very common is metta, or loving kindness, as a setup practice. And all of these can be done in about 5 minutes. Metta is one of them, where oftentimes we might repeat something, but we send out loving kindness. We start with ourselves, and then we send it out to our relatives, and our friends, and then our people that we're close to our animals, and to our enemies, and everybody in the world. And it's an opening of the heart, and it's very good setup practice, because if we want to go deeper into meditation, it's very hard to do that if we hold any grudges against anybody, or particularly ourselves, if we have any ill will or any kind of anger towards anybody else. And it's very difficult to go deep into meditation when that is kind of lingering there. So metta, or loving kindness, enables us to kind of shed that. And that's why it's called a practice that's like a heart opener, opening of the heart. And metta, or loving kindness, metta is just a word. It's a Pali word that means loving kindness, or actually a little bit closely related to, or closely loving friendliness. Yeah, loving kindness or loving friendliness. And it can be an entire practice in itself. All of these setup practices can be, but typically they're just done in little short spurts. But I do know people, and have heard of people that do nothing but metta, all the time, metta practices. And there's lots of different ways to do metta, but oftentimes it's maybe a recitation, but oftentimes lots of visualization involved in actually putting loving kindness out there in the world. And like I said, it can be done in just a matter of a few minutes, or it could be, we could practice it for hours, daily for hours. So that's a very good setup practice, oftentimes considered a Theravada Buddhist setup practice. Another setup practice is body scanning, or scanning. And scanning can be done in a very short time. And it can be done for a couple of reasons. One of them is to relax the body. We oftentimes connect scanning with the breath. I do anyway, where we exhale, and we might, again, visualize stress or strain in some area of the body, and then when we kind of breathe through it. We inhale and then breathe through the shoulders, for example. Inhale, breathe through the arms, and just visualize and imagining these body parts completely relaxed as we go through that. And we usually start at the top of the head and work our way down. Some people start at the toes and work their way up, and that way it's done in segments of the body. And we kind of zoom in on certain areas of the body, and it can be very effective that way. Sometimes we might do what is called sweeping, which is another type of body scan, where we relax the entire body. We inhale and exhale, relaxing the entire body. We start at the top of the head and have that relaxation flow through the entire body with each breath. And when we do that, we are really specifically trying to relax the entire body. Now, scanning also can be used for looking at parts of the body that are reactive to situations that have happened in our life. A lot of times people are not really connected with the body as much as they could be. And so if we scan the body, let's say we remember something negative that happened to us a few years ago, or maybe even our childhood. And it comes up again and again and again, and we want to figure out what the situation is. Why is this happening? We can use a body scan to find out where in the body is triggered by the memory of something, or maybe the recall, or if there's a trigger, somebody says something and it just sets us off for some reason. And it's likely sets us off because of something that has already happened in the past that's related to it. If we are connected with the body, and we can do this through body scanning, we can find out where it first hits us in the body. Let's say we might, let's say somebody says a particular word to us, and it just sets us off, and we feel it in the solar plexus right here. And if we're not really in tune with the body, we might not even realize that. We know that we feel something, and then we react. But if we do something like a body scan and realize that it's in the same place for each time for a certain emotion or a certain thing that comes up, it happens in the same place in the area. I'm just using this as an example. And then we can bring our attention to that and notice that as a trigger. We can really take a look at it, and by doing so, we're not so reactive to the rest of what is happening. A lot of times we might remember something that happened in the past as a child. Something might set us off. It could be anything. Maybe we're defensive about something, and we feel it in the stomach, or let's say we feel it in the heart. And it could be related to something like somehow, some trauma that we experienced as a child. If we're in tune with the body through body scanning, we will recognize that, and we'll go, oh, I understand now what's happening. I understand why it's happening. I can't be fooled the way I've always been fooled because of that, just picking up on that body sensation. It's very key for picking up on these triggers of these emotions that have happened in the past. And body scanning can allow us to be more in tune with the body. It can also, like I said, it can also be used for just relaxing the body or being more in tune with the body. But body scanning is a very good setup practice. Again, setting us up for our longer meditation practice. And the third setup practice is simple breath awareness, breath meditation, where we focus intently on the breath for, say 5 minutes, and then that gets us ready for our regular meditation. Now, our regular, or what we could call our longer meditation, might be the same kind of thing. We might be focusing on the breath, but we might be looking at it in a different way. So a setup practice has a lot of intention behind it. But it's something that is very, very familiar for us. Because a lot of times when we sit down in meditation, we might not even realize it, but we might spend 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 minutes trying to figure out what we're going to be doing here. A lot of times a meditator might just close their eyes and feel the breath, for example. They might feel where the breath comes in and out of their body, and just tune in on that. But it doesn't take long before the body says, "Oh, I got," the mind says, "I got this figured out," and wants to go someplace else. A distraction. But if we sit down in meditation, even before we sit down on the cushion, and set the intention that I'm going to do loving kindness for maybe 5 or 10 minutes or whatever it might be. I'm going to do a body scan for 5, 10 minutes. Doesn't take long. Or I'm going to focus on some aspect of the breath, something very, very simple, for 5 or 10 minutes. Then we are really setting our purpose for the meditation. And for a lot of people, that's the best part of the meditation, because what we're doing is we're conditioning the mind and the body, and really getting the mind and body ready for the meditation itself, rather than just plunking down on the cushion and going, okay, I'm going to meditate. And sometimes it works, but sometimes it's very difficult for the mind to settle down enough to say, I feel like I'm really meditating. But if we have a setup practice and we know this habitual practice that we're doing, it sets everything up and gets us ready for a longer practice. Now, what is that longer practice? That can be different for everybody. Generally, the people that I work with will, if they have a good home practice and they've been practicing for a while, they close their eyes and they focus on the breath. Maybe they're using it as a setup practice without even realizing it. And they're noticing some aspect of the breath, and that's calming their mind and calming their body. And then from there, they're intently watching the activity of the mind and the sensations of the body at the same time. They're really, really watching and being aware of what's coming up. And in that watching, they're noticing if the mind's going to the past or the future. And where is the mind spending all this time? And why am I not able to let go of these things? Because most of all, the practice of meditation should be a practice of letting go or surrender, or what I often called renunciation. And that's the real healing aspect of meditation. And so we watch these things, when the mind and body are calm, and we might notice that our mind keeps going to the same situation that happened a week ago. Goes back there, it goes there again. We pull it back to the breath. It keeps going back there again and again and again. And we notice that. And then we might want to notice, like I said, how does that feel in the body? Why does the mind keep going back there? There's lots of things that we can do from that standpoint, but usually that awareness alone is key and is enough to allow that to dissipate to a certain extent. Just knowing that the mind goes in this way or this way is a big thing for a lot of people. And it's enough to really figure out a lot of the situations. And I mean, the things that can cause negativity for us. Knowing that the mind is going into the past or the future. Now, if this isn't complicated enough, the idea that comes up a lot, the question comes up a lot about guided meditation. And what we're doing here on Wednesday night, for example, we always have some guided meditation, at least about 10 minutes. And I think most of you would agree that guided meditation is generally the easiest, because you're listening to something, you're listening to my voice. It's not, maybe we could say, as boring as just sitting in silence. So there's not much of a struggle with the mind. We're listening to somebody talk, whether it's a meditation like this or a guided meditation from a recording on YouTube or Insight Timer or some other app, or some kind of a meditation that we have recorded. And guided meditations are very, very popular. And again, I would say that they're very easy to do. There's not so much to look at, and there's not so much intention that has to be behind a guided meditation. It's like watching a good movie. You know how easy it is? You're just there, and you're watching and listening, and it's easy. If it's a bad movie, then it's not so easy to stay to it. But if it's a good movie, and a guided meditation can be the same way. We just get drawn into it. If it's a bad guided meditation, it could drive somebody crazy, I suppose. But a good meditation is something that's quite simple. And so we're going to try something completely different here. And I'm going to do like a standard guided meditation to show you how easy it is. I'm going to actually kind of take you on a journey This is not a meditation that I wrote myself, and I better give credit where the credit is due. This is from, it says, the words are written by B. Worley. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. W-R, help me out with this, Terry. W-R-A-U-L-E-Y.
Sounds like Raleigh.
Raleigh?
That's what it sounds like.
W-R-A-U-L-Y.
Raleigh.
Raleigh. And this is from his site. I think it's his site anyway. It's from Hiatus Guided Meditation. It's called Hiatus. Hiatus is a word that means a pause or a gap in a sequence or a series. You know, it's a pause. Take a hiatus. You take a break, basically. And so that's a pretty good name. Hiatus Guided Meditation. But this, it starts off with, right away it says, go on a journey in this guided meditation that will take you to a special place of tranquility and peace. That sounds easy, right? I mean, I would go there, you know, wherever it might be. Maybe it's Aberdeen, South Dakota or something, you know, peace and tranquility. Maybe not, though. The one thing about guided meditation is that I'm a firm believer that guided meditations have their purpose. And for somebody that has a really distracted mind, their wandering mind, and they say, I've tried meditation, it just drives me crazy. I can't sit in silence. I can't sit there and just watch my mind, you know. And I hear that a lot from people. But so if somebody would come and tell me that, I would say, do guided meditation. You know, do guided meditation until the body is conditioned. You know, just like a setup practice, and until the mind settles down a little bit, and then try go into the silence. And I believe that anybody that's doing any guided meditation should at least do like 5 minutes of silence after the guided meditation to give themselves an opportunity to realize the power of that silence. And that is where, again, where the healing of meditation comes in, and the practice of letting go comes in from that silence. And so tonight we're actually using guided meditation, often like we do in here. We're using the guided meditation as a setup for the silent meditation. And, you know, just for the record, the Buddha didn't use guided meditation. He didn't do any recording or anything like that. He didn't record any meditations and hand them out to his monks or anything. But I think there were a lot of people meditating 2,600 years ago because they didn't have the distractions that we have now. People get distracted by the computer. They get distracted by their phones, you know, by TV, by movies, by just media, you know, everything that's happening. And 2,600 years ago, I think people meditated for a type of entertainment, and they knew what they were doing. And when you read the Buddhist scriptures, there's not a lot of explicit instruction on meditation because most people knew how to do it. When he did give instructions, he did it kind of in a way where he laid out a broad system in a very short time called the Anapanasati, where he talked about using the breath, but he also talked about the body and using feelings and the mind and emotions and the Dharma, these teachings for meditation objects. And he really went into it in such a way that he really felt that most of the people understood the basics of meditation. And I think, you know, meditation is very, very easy and very simple to do, but it can be confusing for a lot of people. couple of reasons why, and one of them is because there are a lot of different ways to meditate, and we hear of a lot of different methods, and we covered a lot of them right here already this evening. But the other reason it's difficult is because of the natural distractions that we have. So we'll do this meditation. The first, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes, which would be about half of it, will be guided, and then the rest of it will be silence. And notice that shift from the guiding into the silence, and see how it feels for you. And try to keep that same composure and intention that you have when you're listening to the guiding. In other words, when you're listening to what I'm saying, when I stop talking, just see how it feels, and see how it feels within the body, and see if you can go a little bit deeper. Notice where the mind is going. Is it going into a problem that you had in the past, or something, some expectation of the future? And if so, see if you can let that go and come into this, what we call presence, this present moment. And in that presence is you, the real you, your true nature. Even you, Mark.
Me too.
Yeah, wow. You too. So please make yourself comfortable. With the eyes closed. And we want to really allow the eyes to close. We're not forcing anything. We're not making our eyes close. We're not making ourselves comfortable. We're just allowing all of this. And hopefully we didn't even force ourselves to come here this evening. We allowed ourselves to show up for this meditation this evening. And we should always think in terms of allowing rather than forcing, and do it with a happy mind. So tonight I want to try something different with you. I want us to go on a journey together. And this will be your journey, and I will be your guide. And I want you to start by focusing on your breathing. Focus on breathing in and out. Feel how the breath comes into your body. And feel how the breath leaves your body. This is the body breathing. It's best to have your eyes closed. There'd be some visualization. And I want you to picture a place where you feel comfortable and safe. This place could be some place you've been or some place you want to go. Or you can imagine someplace new. I want you to picture yourself there. And I want you to feel yourself there. And how does this place sound? Listen to the sounds of the place that you're at. How does this place smell? Take a breath through your nose. Let the smells of this place fill your nose. And how does it feel on your skin? And see if you can feel this place on your face, and your arms and hands. Your whole body. Feel your feet. You can even wiggle your toes if you like. Visualizing yourself in this place, see yourself looking around. Look around the space of this special place. Look out far and wide. And now I want you to start moving through this space. Up ahead you see something that you can't wait to see what it is. You can't quite tell what it is, but you notice it's something special. Go to this thing. And when you get there, you see that you were right. This is a very special thing. In fact, it is one of the most special things to you. And gently examine your discovery. If you wish, you can pick it up, touch it. You can smell it or even taste it. You can hold it close to you. And see if you can feel how special it is. And spend some time with that feeling. Notice how that feels, this very, very special thing. Now, once you have spent some time with your special discovery, I want you to put it back. I want you to leave it there for others, so they too can have a special discovery the way you did. Now, up ahead, in front of you, there is a door. May seem strange to see a door in that area. Just see if you can see it. I want you to walk to the door, and when you get there, before you go through the door, I want you to think back to a moment. Back to a moment ago, and your discovery and your feelings. Remember how you felt. You made a discovery and you put it back so others could find it. You remember how you felt. Remember that you have let others find that feeling too. That's a special thing. Now you're facing the door, and I want you to go through the door. And when you're walking through the door, you'll come back to where you started. So you come back to where you started before you went to that special place. You come back to the sounds of where you are. You come back to the smells of where you are. You come back to your body and the feelings of where you are back. And you are special. And you know that everyone else is just as special as you. And that's something to cherish. You can bring our palms together in front of us if you like. May each one of us and all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to us, and may no difficulties come to us. May we all meet with spiritual and worldly success. May we have the patience, courage, and understanding to meet and overcome any problems or any difficulties that we might face in life. Thank you. So we did a guided meditation like we often do here, or always do, and then we went into silence. And how did it feel? You know? Probably
peaceful.
Peaceful? The transition or the whole thing?
The whole thing.
The whole thing? Okay.
Struggle. You've taught me well.
Oh, thank you. It wasn't much of a meditation, and I purposely didn't put a lot out there as far as a journey goes, just because I wanted just to put out the point that a lot of times it's just being able to focus the mind on something, such as, you know, the sound that's coming out of my mouth. You know, I'm just reading some words, and there's lots of different ways that a person could deliver, you know, a guided meditation. Quite frankly, I feel that most of them are kind of a step towards hypnosis in a way. You know, the way they take a person on a journey, and a lot of times there's a lot of creativity involved. A lot of times there's get that out? We're taking ourselves, visualizing ourselves, and we're going to a place where we're doing some healing or something like this, or, you know, some extreme relaxation or something, where sometimes we can be brought to a field of flowers or a waterfall or something that's very, very, very tranquil. But the idea is what is it doing beyond that, you know, for us. And the reason I say it's similar to hypnosis is because in hypnosis there's a part of the very first part of hypnosis. You want to get the client extremely relaxed so that they're not so that they're almost asleep, basically. And in doing so, then you can kind of drop them into, not everybody, but if the client is very much a part, if they take suggestions well, like in a drowsy state, you can generally get them to go into hypnosis. And the first part of that hypnosis journey, I guess you could call it, where people are very, very relaxed, is very much like guided meditations. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's something that we can use, you know, to relax the body and the mind, and then, like I said several times, you know, to go into that deeper aspect of the silent meditation, where there is some, I guess you could almost say, some serious healing capabilities, and some possibilities involved there, because of the aspect of letting go and surrender. Because if we learn to let go any kind of negativity from the past, or our anticipation for the future, then we realize that we are creating our own suffering. And so that the suffering isn't coming from out there, it's coming from inside. There, every experience that I experienced or you experienced, we'd all have the same reaction to that thing, and we would all experience suffering from the same point. What I mean by that is, if there's something that we experience, let's say we walk outside, and I was talking to somebody from California, one of my clients actually from California yesterday, and she said when she walks outside she smells smoke. And a lot of times if we would walk outside, we smell smoke, we think it smells like a campfire, roasting marshmallows or whatever, it could bring a nice pleasurable sense, feeling to us, a pleasurable emotion. But in California right now, there's fear. There's over 500 wildfires there, and it's a big concern. People walk out and they smell smoke, or they smell smoke inside their house, and there's fear that is involved there. And so if the outside external environment is actually causing our problems within, everybody would have the same reaction to that. Everybody would be fearful, or everybody would smell smoke and go, well, that's a nice campfire smell, I like that, I want to go camping, that kind of thing. And so it's our perception, of the world, it's our perception of the situations in life that we react to, and that cause our discomfort and our anxieties and our traumas and the suffering. And so when we can let that go in meditation, that tells us that we can let that go in our real life too. And that's where the healing, like I say, the healing qualities of meditation come through in that silence. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, because the guided that we usually do in here are instructions, and that and the reason I do that is because the people that have been meditating forever don't have to listen to those necessarily, and you can kind of slip right into the meditation, and then the people that are not that are fairly new to meditation, they can listen to those instructions and get a lot out of it, and it could be kind of a reminder for people too, But I'm the same way. If I go to a group like this, usually the guiding, I don't even really, generally I don't hear much of it. Yeah. It just falls into the background, and it's there, and somebody's talking, and it's kind of like I'm doing my own thing, But initially, we were talking about setup practices before, and no matter what kind of guiding it is, I'm listening to it to some extent, at first. But I guess there's a part of me that feels like I don't have to listen to the whole thing or something, So there's different things that a person can do with guided. And it is rejuvenating. I know that I've had teachers before where I enjoy hearing their voice. As soon as I hear their voice, I'm very relaxed, and it works. It's kind of like hearing, that's why I always I use the same bell. A lot of people are used to this tone, the tone of this bell, because I've been using it for 20 years or whatever. And they're but if I would use a different bell, they would go, wait a minute. Without realizing it, they would know, they'd go, it's a different tone, But for a lot of people, this tone is instant serenity, And I think it's the same way for the voice. You know, when I was working with Matthew Flickstein for one of them, and Bhante Gudarantana too, as soon as I'd hear their voice, it would remind me of all the teachings about calmness and serenity that I got from them, and it would be instant, you know, calm for me. And so if they did a little bit of guiding, like Bhante Gudarantana does, it was very helpful for me. But a lot of time with Bhante Gudarantana, most of you might know him. When he does guide, it's so soft that you can't understand what he's saying anyway. You know, it's so it's just kind of like hearing an old friend mumbling in the background, and that's enough. You know, that's enough. It works. But the whole idea is to use it for a setup practice. And I mentioned 3 setup practices, actually, you know, 4, with guided being the 4th one. Loving kindness, scanning, you know, just general breath meditation or counting the breath. And you know, the guided meditations as setup practices. But that doesn't, you know, there's more. And, you know, as you meditate, the idea, you know, is to kind of know what you're doing when you first sit down, rather than going, well, how am I going to do this meditation this time? You know, you just want to sit down and do it. And if you're confused about what to do for a setup practice, and you don't have your computer and you're not using guided meditations or anything like that, just start counting the breaths. That's the easiest thing you can do. Some people will inhale, exhale, count 1. Inhale, exhale, count 2. Some people do that up to 20, 21, the average number of breaths in a 2-minute period. Some people will count up to 100. Sometimes count up to 100 and backwards, or even start with a 100 and count backwards, just so they're more focused on the numbers. But by the time you get done with that, whatever the intention is, whatever number you're counting to, if you do that on a consistent basis, your mind and body will be very calm. It should be very calm. And then from there you can do maybe a different type of practice. And that would be a very good setup practice.